Hello, and thank you for joining me as I'm going to try to teach you a little bit about ProPresenter. ProPresenter is a program that our church has been using now for quite a while, and they continually add new content. So it's a little bit difficult sometimes to keep up with where we are and the content and how to use everything. So my goal today is to try to catch everyone up from where possibly you've left off or where you most recently used ProPresenter. And I want to teach you guys a couple of skills that I have picked up along the way. Nothing here I think is too complicated or too difficult with just a little bit of practice. The first thing that I want to teach you is about building a slideshow or building a presentation. What you do is you first go to the plus sign here in library, go to new presentation. It'll give you the option of where you want to put it. So which library you want to put it in. I'm going to choose default, and it gives you different sizes that you can choose from. The common size is 1920 by 1080. That is the size that we use in our sanctuary. And I'm just going to give that a file name of test. So I'm going to go ahead and click on new. There you see, this is just a very blank presentation that we have here right now. But there's a lot that we can do with this. So the first thing that we can do is we can go to edit, and it gives us here different options of like our text. We can change, let me move this out of our way here. We can change so much. We can change our font and our color and our text size. These are just the very basic skills to understand. You can change to have a stroke if you'd like to, or like an outline that surrounds your words. And this is just very basic. So I'm just going to do a test here. I'm going to show you how I can do that. I can change it, and I have a lot of fonts on my computer, so I can do all kinds of things. And I'll show you if I was to want to make this much larger, I could do much larger text by doing that. And so that's how, if you wanted to start from the very beginning, if you wanted to start from the scratch, this is how you could do that. Now, I would say another thing is that we are very blessed to have song select through CCLI, and that actually comes in handy as well. So what we're able to do, if I go to show and I wanted to get out of here, I could press start and I could build a new playlist or a new presentation if I want to, but I can also go here, and this is very helpful, to file. I can go to import, and then from import, I can go to song select, and then I can choose the song that I want to import. So for this one, we'll do 10,000 Reasons. That's a very popular song. And when I click that, I can choose the theme that I want to use. And so for this particular document, I could pick any one of these, and they all have the basic set on our other ProPresenter on the Church Mac. We have a whole bunch that I've made. I typically use the one that I call simple on that one, though I don't have it made here. But I will show you using this one, the offset shape and type. You may recognize this from some of the videos that we did more recently. So I'm going to import this. I'm going to put it in the Haven Service playlist. So I'm going to import that now. I'm just going to write over that song that we already have. And you can see here that it gives you some of the lyrics that are there. Now you can already tell this probably isn't all the lyrics. So let's go to reflow. And you can see here in reflow, here are all the lyrics for those songs. And you can see that what we have to do here is go and insert slide breaks there for it to be able to use all of these words without being cut off. Because otherwise, since it only has a few delimiters, it would actually cut them off. This particular theme is built for 2 lines. And so that's why we would have to do it this way. Now we could go, let's just double check here. Let's go to our show, double check that they are all the words are there. It does appear that they are. Now what I would do at this point is you want to drag in music from your music source. So it might, if you're doing it on the Mac, it's probably going to be Finder. So we can go in and go just like this. Probably have some sort of version of this. And I could take that and I can actually put it in as its own slide. which is what I like to do because it gives me a couple of different options here. So I'm going to copy this one. I'm going to paste this guy right here because I want to make this into a title slide of sorts. So I'm going to go to edit real fast. I'm going to do that. I'm going to take this and I'm going to move this around. This is not something that you would have to do. By the way, just a little tip here, Command Z on the Mac is going to be your very best friend because it really helps out when you have to do the undo command. So let's set this. You obviously tell that I cannot spell. Change the font size here to a much larger font for the title slide. There we go. So now you can see when we get started, we got our song here. This is the MP3 that would play. Here's our title slide. And then right here, we have all these other lyrics that are going to come in handy in just a bit. So what I want to do now is I'm going to come up with, I'm probably going to need to go to Share Faith. So I'm going to open up Chrome, go ahead and open this up, type in Share Faith. Share Faith is one of our really cool little programs where we use it to download these motion backgrounds. I'm particularly fond of these. I like this one right here. So let's go with this one. So I'm going to download the standard edition here. You could do 4K. Looks like I'm not signed in. Let's go ahead and do that. Log in here with Haven Church. Let's go back now over to products, church graphics. There's a lot of different ones that we could choose from here. I'll just choose a random one here. So I'm going to download this MP4 video. And what's cool about this is as soon as it downloads, it's going to show up in my Finder in Downloads. I'll be able to use that pretty creatively. See, it's downloading here. And when that downloads, I can drag this MP3 right in. I'm sorry, not MP3, this video right in and cover that as soon as it's done. So I'm going to take that, I'm going to put it right here. So here's what's cool. What I tend to do is I like to use our go to next timers. We try to set the go to next timers on every single one of our slideshows just because it's so helpful. And I know for a fact that this one right here is going to have to be 0 to start off with, because as soon as I click it, I want it to start playing the MP3, and then I want it to go ahead instantly to the next slide. Now, it might not be instantaneous on the title slide because I want to have a little bit of an introduction. I like to set it so that every one of these lyrics comes in just before it's time to sing them. That way, no one gets confused. So let me show you. I'll go ahead and click on this. And you can see here that it's already jumped in and started. So this one probably is going to be good enough to go ahead and put maybe 1 second or 0. And then when I do that, I'll pause the sound here. I'll show you what happens. So I can go ahead and click on that. And it's going to rush right through to it. It sets automatically. Worship his holy name. And I can pause it here. What I like to do is I use an extra pad. I'll show you that right here. I use an extra pad for recording. I start off and I write, the slide number. So I go like 1 through maybe 19. In this case, it's probably going to be about 15 slides that I'm going to need. So I would go through and I would write in order 1 through 15, and I would make just a little bubble around it. And then I start off, and I'll show you here, and I use 0 to 0. That tells me it's 0 seconds to 0 seconds with a bubble that says 0. That's how many seconds the go-to timer would need to be. I say number 2 is also 0 to 0, and then that also has another bubble with 0 because it tells me that there are 0 seconds. And then when I get to number 2, right? So in this situation, or number 3, I am starting my first chorus, and I can see here already that it's going to be 15 seconds, that we're at the 15-second mark. So that tells me that, well, 15 minus this 1 second right here is going to be a 14-second timer. So I can go in And I can set this to be 14 seconds. And then what's going to happen is it's going to progress along with each slide. And it's a lot easier when you're using your pad because you can actually write down and keep up with the information that you need. So I'm going to go ahead and start doing that as well, just to help myself as I try to teach you. I would recommend if you're watching this, maybe to go ahead and take a pen and a pad out to help yourself. So we're going to start off writing our maybe 14 or 15 slides. And if you've ever seen this in the sound booth, you know that I don't try to make it super neat as long as I can read it and it's legible. That's what's important. And so yours, if you did along with me, should look something like this. You have it going down. And then that first one I know is 0 to 0 with a bubble that says 0. Then number 2 should be 0 to 1, the second of 1. Number 3 should be 1 to 14 or 1 to 15 actually. And then it should have in the bubble 14 because that's our go to next timer number. So I'll show you that because that's very helpful. Is it shows you there number 3, I'm supposed to say 3. It's a very bad 3. That's okay. 1 through 15, 1 second to 15 seconds in the song. It tells us it's a go to next timer of 14 seconds. So now let's take another look here. Number 4. All right. So what do we need to do now? We press play. It is tougher when you don't have a singer, but that's why I like to generally use sheet music as I go along. So in this situation, there's a pause in between this. I would even just keep this going, have it resting on this slide until it's time for the next one. So I'll pause there and say it's 40, okay? So 15 to 40. And that tells me there's a 25-second go to next timer. So here's my example of that right there. 15 to 40, and then a 25-second timer on that. So I can actually go ahead and set that because I'm sure of it. So 25 seconds. Okay. And then watch what happens when I do this. You can actually see it here. Worship his holy name. Sing like never. And there we go. It's doing its progression to the go to next timers. Now, I'm not going to make you watch me do every single one of these, though it would be helpful, but just some things that you should know. Big tip number 1 is once you get down here to the ending, right? Sometimes these endings are kind of long, and maybe sometimes they even extend beyond where the actual end of the song is. And so you want to listen for that. So for this one, you can hear there's an instrumental here at the very ending, and it does go to the very end. I would generally just keep this playing. But if you see right here, maybe you don't need those last 3 seconds. So when you're going through and you're writing for your, let's say slide number 14 here, because it's probably going to be a blank slide for that. When you get to 5:41, which is the timer that it says here where I stopped it, 5:41 to 5:43, you would want to go in like this. Go in and copy it, paste it back in, and then it's the same. But the reason that this is still helpful is because I can go in and I can edit this slide or do a quick edit, but I'll just edit the slide. It's easier. Then I'll just delete all of this right here because I don't need any of that. And then there we go. It's a blank slide for your ending. So that last 3 seconds, you can say on this go to next timer, 3 seconds. And then if you have that in a presentation, if you have another song behind it, or you want to go to our logo slide or whatever it may be, it will go right into it. Now there is an option, right, that I want to show you, which is you pull up your go to next timer. It gives you the option to loop to the beginning. There are some presentations where you want to loop to the beginning. You don't do that on every single one, but let's say this was our announcement slide and we wanted to loop back to the beginning as soon as we were done with that. Well, that's what that would be used for. Another important thing to note is this. So pay attention to this part. This is the inspector. Inspector is very, very helpful. You can go to inspector, especially for music, and you can actually set where you want the song to start and finish. So if I wanted to start it for some reason, this deep in, I could set in. And then if I wanted, I'd have to go now, go this far in and press out. And so what happens then, and this is going to be kind of random, but check it out because it's kind of fun, and click on it. And it's going to start it in the middle of the song. It's not in the right place with the timer, but if you ever need to cut off the beginning of a song or the ending of a song, that is how you can do that in Inspector. So it's very helpful. Now note, whenever I click on this very first one, it's going to end the first one. It's going to fade it out, and then it will bring in a new one. You see how that works? It fades it out and then it brings in a new one. So that's very helpful. For the most part, this is all you need to know for building slides, for importing from file to import to song select. Sometimes you'll search in song select and it won't be there. That's another video for another time. But you can always put it in manually, as well as texting from clipboard can be very helpful. If you use your notepad, you can easily pull up from notepad your your song lyrics that you wanted to look up. You save it to your notepad. You can organize it how you want to and copy and paste it, and then text it from your clipboard. And that is also just as helpful. You will have to go through and you will have to break them up. They're probably going to be in one slide. You might need to go to reflow for that. Now, reflow can be very helpful. This is a little bit more tricky, but practicing with it and playing with it is the only way to learn. And so I hope that you have the opportunity to do that. I do hope that this has been a helpful video. I don't want it to be too long, but just let me know if you have any questions, and I will try to follow that up with a personal explanation the next time that I see you. So thank you, Haven Church AV team, for all that you do. I definitely thank you so much for this. And I just hope that you guys will continue to learn and continue to use these gifts that God has given you and this opportunity that God has given you for his glory. Thank you.